The Marvel vs. Capcom series is one of the most legendary fighting game franchises in existence, with millions of sales and fans the world over. I'd like to discuss the origins of the series. In this essay, we'll be going over the first four games in the MVC franchise and why you should play them. Let's begin with X-Men vs. Street Fighter, which was released to arcades in 1996. This game was developed by Capcom and the first of their fighting games to feature tag team fighting with active switching between characters. I find it easy to go back to this one again and again as the sprite animation holds up phenomenally well and I find the roster appealing. This game later saw ports to home consoles, with the PlayStation version receiving criticism for nixing the tag functionality, a feature that would sadly be missing from later installments to hit the console. In order to achieve a near arcade perfect conversion to the Sega Saturn, a cartridge featuring an additional 4 megabytes of RAM was required. This cartridge would see use in the sequel as well as other arcade conversions from Capcom, but unfortunately would never see release outside of Japan. A sequel was released to arcades in 1997 called Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. In addition to expanding the roster, a number of balance changes were made to the game. Developer Seth Killian gave an interview discussing the changes and recalls how it was an important moment for the series. He said that the team worried about the perception of the previous game being, quote, broken, so the goal was to, quote, tone down the insanity, unquote, with infinite combos and other exploits. However, the fighting game community rejected these changes, and thus the series' defining characteristic was found: on-screen insanity. In 1998, the series was officially titled with the moniker that would stick with the series for every entry since, Marvel vs. Capcom. This entry was subtitled Clash of Superheroes, and the roster was expanded from just Street Fighter characters to the broader roster of Capcom characters like Mega Man, Captain Commando, and Strider Hiryu. Another addition was the inclusion of guest characters who were selected at random at the start of each stage. These include semi-obscure characters from respective Marvel vs. Capcom stables who can be called upon for special attacks during your matches. Now for the last game we'll be discussing today, it's the iconic Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes from the year 2000. This title was the last to be released to arcades, and for North America it may indeed have been the last hit before arcades as we knew it dried up. This title brings in every Marvel character to ever grace a Capcom fighting game at that point. You could definitely draw comparisons to Smash Bros. Ultimate for the completeness of the roster and the way it encapsulates the series. This was the first entry in the series to feature online gameplay, but unfortunately this was limited to the Japanese market. Another first for the series is the inclusion of 4 completely original characters. These were included as a way for newcomers to be eased into a cast of characters numbering 56 in total. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 launched to overwhelming acclaim and is still one of the most beloved fighting games of all time. When the first EVO fighting game tournament launched in 2002, this game was included and didn't leave until 2011 when the sequel, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, was finally released. If you're curious about the series, then every game I have discussed and more is included in the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection for PC, PS4, Xbox, and Switch. These games may be old, but they're still incredibly fun and engaging. I've been Chris Van Vleck, and you've been a lovely audience.